The first manga I've ever read to completion was Death Note. I honestly don't remember how I found it, but it was probably just from exploring my local library. And given how many videos I've made about manga since, I'd say that the rest is history. But it's been over a decade since I last read it, and I've fallen victim to the herd mentality. But in my quest to read every Shonen Jump manga, I decided to reread it, and man, I forgot how good this series is. Before we begin, if you want to hear my thoughts on more Shonen Jump series, and eventually all of them, be sure to subscribe. And for all you current Shonen Jump readers, I'm planning on making a video about the current state of Shonen Jump this year, just kind of giving my thoughts on it all. But I also just want to hit 1,000 subscribers before 2026 starts. We got a month left, we're going full force. Anyways, to address the elephant in the room, I do kind of agree with the notion that L vs. Kira is the peak of the series. It's such a delicate game of cat and mouse that never lets either side feel like they truly have the leg up on the other until the cards start to fall. It's really impressive how well it keeps that balance even when things start to get out of hand. I'm honestly surprised it keeps it up for as long as it does, but I was also surprised at how much of Death Note is the near section of the story. I thought it was mostly L vs. Kira, but it's surprisingly about an even split. Or at least it feels that way. I went into the near section expecting it to be way worse than L vs. Kira, but honestly, while it does fall off a bit, it's not nearly as bad as I thought. Things get a bit messier, but it's also still a very fun ride to be on. And ultimately, all of it becomes worth it for that final confrontation. It took me a moment to finally process what was happening, but when I did, I realized, oh, this is just the perfect encapsulation of the idea of being punished for hubris. Light tried to play God, and the universe finally said, "Nuh-uh, buddy, down go the walls." He looks so pathetic as he's unraveled and all his crimes laid bare. It's honestly such an incredible finale to the series to remind the viewer that, hey, maybe don't try playing God, it's not gonna go super well for you, pal. And that scene alone makes the whole near arc worth existing. It feels cathartic, but also so good to watch Light become this truly pathetic and desperate man who's clinging for one last straw as the world pats him on his shoulder and says, sorry pal, your time is up. I'd always meant to come back to Death Note because I wanted to try and reform my own opinion on the series. I bought into the cultural perception without questioning it, but I've come out the other side with a more nuanced opinion of the series. It's kind of surreal to be rereading the very first manga I ever read. To think I was a middle schooler when I first read it, unaware of the depths of the medium. Which is to say nothing of the fact that I was a middle schooler reading this. Which again, Shonen Jump is for boys, but this is a dark story. But it's still dark in a shonen way where it's fun to enjoy and witness it all, even though it is tense. But also it can get a bit silly. But honestly, now that I've read so many more manga, I don't think I can quite put Death Note in the peaks of manga. But it is really good, and it has absolutely stood the test of time. I figured I would like it less coming back to it after as time has passed and kind of letting my consumption of the manga medium broaden. But I was having a blast reading it. I was flipping through pages as much as I could. In terms of Shonen Jump manga, Death Note's one of the better ones. I was surprised by how much it stands out despite being shorter than a lot of them, and is doing its own thing that is just so unique and has clearly inspired some other things in the future to be more willing to jump on more complex themes. And I think there's a place in Shonen Jump for both the battle shonens, like the One Pieces, the JJKs and stuff like that, but also these more mature, psychological thriller kind of things. But you can also kind of see that they have found the balance with some series, especially JJK Modulo right now. I think feels kind of more in line with Death Note in terms of this charged thriller that is also very political and has the desire to tackle complex themes. But also I know fights are coming up and they're gonna be peak even if they're gonna be really sad. And now I think I'm gonna try and read Platinum End. I have poked around at it and I'm not quite sure how much I'm gonna enjoy it, but I'll give it a shot even if it isn't for the video. I'm still reading manga besides just Shonen Jump ones. I can only do so much of one magazine at a time. But all in all, with this reread, I'd love to know what your first manga was. I know a bunch of people it's Inuyasha or Naruto or something like that. And also I'll just implore you to reread it, because it's an interesting experience to come back to a story you read from your kid and to kind of reassess it as an adult or a grown-up human being that has matured and can see how things your life have changed and how you view art has changed. But if your first manga was Rurouni Kenshin, then maybe reread your second one. You don't need to touch that with the tempo.